language enthusiasts, welcome to my channel. This is teacher Ramil and I am inviting you in today's lesson. We all know that research is life, isn't it? And we understand that some of our student researchers have had a hard time thinking and writing a research title. This video will help you out how to write a good research title. But before we get started, do not forget to watch and subscribe my channel. And I hope you'll be learning something at the end of our lesson today. Let's get started. Today's lesson is on writing a research title, which is one of the challenging things that any research student, or shall we say those who are now in their thesis or dissertation or research writing, I know you have been facing a lot of sleepless nights thinking about a good research title. So I hope I can share something, the process, some steps, good steps, and writing a research title. All right, let's continue. We all know that there are three different somehow studies when it comes to research. We have there the quantitative study, we have the qualitative study, we also have the mixed method study. So regardless of what study or the nature of your study that you are working on, you have to really think of a good problem. So today's video, I will not be giving you the specific definition or meaning of these three particular research studies, but then, as I mentioned, today's lesson will focus on the good process in writing a good title as well, right? Okay, so regardless of what study you are working on, you have to think of a problem. So what is the problem that you really would like to work on? Okay. For instance, shall we say, especially those who are in the language and communication, or regardless of your field, you have to think of a problem. And let's try to consider the problem that I am sharing here, which is the students' oral communication skills. So since students' oral communication skills perhaps is commonly observed and experienced by not just language students, but at the same time observed by our English or language and communication teachers, isn't it? So let's have first a good way of writing a quantitative research study. I pointed it out earlier that you have to think of the problem. So here's the problem, students' oral communication skills. So I guess to those who are enrolled in a research method subject, you know what a quantitative study is. So what's the point here? You have to consider what particular problem you'll be working on. So this is now your problem, the cause, the reason of something. Then after such, since you'll be working a quantitative study, then think of this. What is affected by the identified problem? So after thinking a possible reason, which is in here, a student's oral communication skills, and then how these oral communication skills affects something in relation to what? You have to think of an identified problem again, which is being affected by this oral communication skill. So let's, for instance, this is just a very common, most of the student researchers or teachers would think that the oral communication skills of students has affected their academic performance. So there you go. What is being affected by this identified problem, which is oral communication skills, is the academic performance. So meaning, after you have identified the problem and what is being affected by the identified problem, then you have to bring them together. You have to reconstruct them together to have your passable quantitative title. So your passable quantitative title now is the students' oral communication skills and their academic performance. So mind you, I just use here an article or determiner the, of course, and a pronoun also there just to complete, not the research title, but there are some research institutions, they are not observing the determiner, or shall we say, an article, it's how they modified it. But ideally, today's video is just sharing how you're going to make a quantitative research title and other related research studies. Okay, so here's now your possible quantitative research title. Let's continue, particularly on writing a qualitative research title. So we have already identified the problem, the students' oral communication skills, which is our problem. And then particularly you have to think of a gerund. Okay, when I say gerund, it is somehow known to some language students and teachers, a progressive form of the verb or a continuous form of the verb, but ideally a gerund is, it functions as a noun here. So I'll be only giving you some examples of gerund, right? So one is improving, analyzing, investigating, and more. Okay, so after thinking a good gerund, then you have to also make use of a possible qualitative approach. So in qualitative studies, though there are 5 or more identified qualitative approaches, I'll be only sharing which I observed the students have commonly used this two, or could be more qualitative approaches, right? So one here is phenomenology and case study, right? So these are some of the qualitative approaches. After such, you have the problem, you have a good gerund, and you have now a possible qualitative approach. You have to make use of them to make a good qualitative research title. There you go. Here's your possible qualitative research title, investigating, that is now your gerund, the student's oral communication skills, so that is your identified problem, and your qualitative approach, a phenomenological study. So here's your possible qualitative research title, right? So I hope that possible qualitative research title will guide you now to also give you some good ideas, and you are now comfortable of doing a qualitative research study. And one of the challenging studies or designs that most of our researchers or researchers are exposed to is the writing of a research title based on a mixed method study, right? So we already have here, you have to consider your quantitative focus, which is earlier our quantitative titles. I just bring it here just for us to be guided, right? Technically and accordingly. So what is, think of this, what is your quantitative focus? So let's try to take this, that your quantitative focus is on the students' oral communication skills and academic performance, right? So after you have this kind of quantitative focus, think again on the of a gerund. So commonly, some research institutions are having this kind of word, which is a gerund, to have or to write a good research title, right? So same, I'll be giving the same examples. Just think of what is more relatable, more appropriate in your study, right? Particularly for a mixed method study. So here are the possible words to be used in a mixed method study: improving, analyzing, investigating. And after such, you have to also think or use of a possible mixed method design. So ideally, there are a lot of mixed method designs, but most of the time, student researchers are exposed and commonly use this. Now, these are just some of the mixed method designs. So explanatory, since in doing a mixed method study, it doesn't mean that you have to start right away a quantitative. So in our possible title here, it's obvious that in a mixed method, you're going to mix, right? The different research studies, or shall we say designs. So explanatory, when you say explanatory, just to give you an idea, When I say explanatory, it's you have to start with a quantitative focus, then afterwards is your qualitative focus, right? And then when we say exploratory, you have to start with your qualitative study or focus, and then it follows with your quantitative focus. When we say convergent, and then the quantitative and qualitative studies, especially during the data gathering, are being conducted independently. Exactly, right? So after you have pointed out the importance, those quantitative, a gerund, and a possible mixed method design, here comes now your possible mixed method research title. Let's see. And here's now your possible mixed method research title. Investigating the students' communication skills and their academic performance, an explanatory sequential design, or others would say an explanatory sequential analysis, right? So investigating there is your gerund, and then the students' oral communication skills and their academic performance is your quantitative focus, right? So whatever the results during your analysis, during your interpretation out of this quantitative focus, then you will proceed to your qualitative focus. That's the reason why our design is an explanatory sequential design. Okay, so I hope you learned something different today. Thank you for watching. This is Teacher Ramil. See you in my next video. Good day, everyone.